Before joining Sahabat Wanita, I had worked with semiconductor industries in Penang, organizing workers, and we were involved in documenting some of the health situations of workers. So when I came to Sahabat Wanita, there were women sitting in the office, and they told us really sad stories, terrible stories of eye problems with their eyes, very quickly becoming terrible. They had stories of very bad periods or no periods or heavy periods. They had miscarriages. So, and there were stories of harassment, sexual harassment, and also stories of being involved with boyfriends and then, getting pregnant, and that being, that another story of their lives. So I think that affected me quite badly in terms of wanting to be involved with and working with workers. So when I went to the UK and lived in the UK, I worked with an organization called Women Working Worldwide, and actually talked about the work Kau was doing, Sahabat Wanita was doing there. And I cooperated for doing a book with them, because the whole of Southeast Asia was a whole industry of free trade zones. And so it was really something that captivated people. And in the end, they formed a department in LSE that talked about women's health and economic condition in semiconductors. I think that was quite a good one. So my involvement with Sahabat Wanita is so crucial, so important in the way my life took its shape. Even while we were working with the estates and so on, we also were in the university in a radical time when things were changing, and we were working on issues like the hunger strikes, Vietnam War, young Malaysian women coming back with a lot of experience from overseas and starting Women's Refuge, forums, and trying to get women together. But they didn't have one area of work that we were interested in. We were really particular about women and work. And our first experience was with women in the estates. But then over time, we got to meet women in the semiconductor industry in Kuala Lumpur, in the free trade zones, nurses, housewives, university students, all came who were very curious, very interested, and we were giving talks in the university and so on. So there was another dimension that came in to bring that economic, political interest in the credit union. So it was just not there like that. Yeah, I mean, definitely just the kind of work we were doing in the different estates and the way that we could interact with women workers, whether it was urban or not. And the place where we had our office in the urban area also had a say, because we were interacting with ordinary women. For me, it was important because on one hand, I came from a very poor family. On the other hand, I was a Christian. I was brought up as a Christian, and you think you're very middle class and all that. So that was a dilemma, and so connecting with women in their estates was just very, very important. And sometimes I took that personal thing a little far. Maybe I would have, my daughter was a baby, so when I go to the estates, then I will take this baby along, and then you have to leave the baby in somebody's house, and then you go and then you forget, and about 4 hours later you come back and even the milk has curdled, So that was some of the connection that I remember about them. I think we were really one of the first groups, Sahabat Wanita, where we actually celebrated International Women's Day as workers. And then talked about the history of International Women's Day, how it came about, why it was a workers' struggle. And then we had a big celebration. So it was a place where we brought the women from the estates, women from the other areas that we were living with. And then we had this big event. I don't know whether Tracy will remember if you were there. We had this song, I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. And it was like, wow. And then suddenly everybody was singing and you're translating for everyone. So it was quite powerful. In that early stages, it might appear very simplistic, but it was actually very, very powerful. I just wanted to say something about what everyone said about the time during Operation Lalang. I didn't hear some of the stories that have come out today. I'm just so amazed and so proud that that the women that I worked with were so courageous and responded in the way they did. It's just amazing because I was in the UK at that time, so I wasn't here. And I just would hear snippets, but I didn't hear about what was happening to all of us here in Sahabat Wanita. I would hear about what's happening in the other organizations, but I didn't hear individually about what is happening. It just was silence. But what I did was I worked with the international organizations like Asia Watch, Amnesty International, the human rights organizations in UK to raise these issues in around the world. There was also a workers' organization in Australia, Asia Australia Women Workers Links, that actually was, contacted me and we worked quite a lot together. So I don't know whether it made any impact in eventually getting our people out, but that was what I did and it gave me some strength from a distance. So I cannot compare what my life was with those people who were arrested and those who were here holding the baby, if you like. But I just want to say I'm so proud of being part of this, of being part of Sahabat Wanita and all the people who worked here and responded so spontaneously, with so much courage at the time when things happened and kept this organization going.